Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Aries December 2022 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, clairvoyant. And I've done a number of one-on-one clairvoyant readings over FaceTime and Skype for YouTubers over the course of the last month from different parts of the world. And if you might choose to find out more about what I do, just check out the information below. But now we're going to take 5 cards. I'm going to use a deck called Thoth. Now, there's nothing magical about the word Thoth. It's just the ancient Egyptian name for the god of wisdom. The paintings were done, must have been at the turn of the last century, near enough to, well, certainly in the 1900s, by a aristocratic English lady called Lady Frida Harris, and the artwork is spectacular. I may use a pen to point out some of the more interesting esoteric aspects to the cards. What's the first one? The Prince of Cups. Because a lot of people are frightened of this deck for some reason, but it's actually very esoteric. There is prudence, and the imagery really tells you what's going on. If you know what to look for, as they say, and we here do know what to look for. So that was prudence. This is the Emperor. That was the prudence. That's the 8 of discs, I imagine. And a couple more just to finish it off. See what there is in store for you, shall we? Love doing your readings for you, I must say. There is Major Arcana 14 called Art in this deck. And finally this one here, which is the 4 of Swords. Well, why don't you make yourself comfortable? Let's come together and look at these cards together while I do the reading for you. Here we go, and we'll start first with one of the better Aries cards in the pack, which is that of the Emperor. Now let's have a look at some of the esoteric imagery in here, shall we? I'll point out a few things and then we'll go from there. First of all, he has a crown with 4 points in it. There is a jewel in the crown as well, which also has 4 points in it, to do with the number 4. Here is, of course, the Himalayan rams, the rams of Aries. The sun behind him there, the sun is exalted in Aries. There is a scepter here with a ram's head. There are bees decorating his cloak. There is an orb, on top of which is a Maltese cross. On the side of the thrones there are 2 discs with 16 points on them. There is a shield down here with a red tincture behind there, like a red sun, and a double-headed eagle by the looks of it. Now his legs are crossed to the number of 4, and his shoulders form a sort of a triangle over the cross, or the number 4 as well. And here is a lamb with light behind its head, and the lamb is holding a flag. There is the fleur-de-lis, which is the symbol of French royalty here. And down here, of course, is the symbol for Aries and a Hebrew letter, Zadi. Now, the first thing that we can say, I think, is just looking at the imagery before we get to the divination, is that there is a triangle, as I say, like making his shoulders down to his waist, over a cross, and the triangle over the cross represents the domination of spirit over matter. Now there's also a lot of red in here, sulfur, and I'll get to that in just a moment. Sulfur is the fiery element of the universe. Now the crown, as I mentioned, has 4 points, and the jewels have 4 facets to him. Now his gold crown is symbolic of the sun, which is behind him, and this is relevant as the Emperor is associated astrologically to you, to Aries, and I mentioned that the sun is exalted in Aries. Now the number 4 can be seen in his legs, so this is also a great card of strength here. Now the orb has a Maltese cross on the top of it. This orb is in his left hand, you'll see, and it is over his navel chakra, or procreative area. This symbolizes his energy and ability to govern. The bees on his garment represent energy and industriousness. Bees are also very organized, and so this represents his ability to govern others. A leader. You will be seen as being a leader at this time. Now there are looping sort of pattern over here, terminating in arrowheads. Directed energy and activity to specific tasks. This is what it suggests to me for you. The Emperor does not waste energy, but directs it to get things done. Now, these star discs that I mentioned that are on either side of the throne, there are 16 points on each of the stars. Now, 16 is interesting because it is 4 multiplied by 4, giving 16. And this, of course, is the number, major arcana number 4. And 16 is also the atomic number of sulfur, and hence his great redness here. Now, the fleur-de-lis is a symbol of rulership from the French monarchy, thus emphasizing the theme of rulership in this card. Now, I did point out that golden eagle down there, which has 2 heads. Well, this talks to me of 2 things. First, the image of the phoenix, and also regenerative powers for you. And the red disk of the sun of sulfur is behind them. Now, the lamb and the flag. Well, in Latin, Agnus Dei, the Lamb of God. The lamb was often a blood sacrifice in the Old Testament and is a Christian symbol for Christ's sacrifice for others. So we can say that here is almost like the halo symbol behind there. That is talking about the sacrifice that leaders often make on behalf of those who follow them. Now, in all, this is suggesting to me that your primary concern is going to be with power and control in this period, either over yourself or over other people. You'll be seen as being a natural leader and organizer. You'll have willpower and judgment, and good judgment, which has come about as a result of you having paid attention to your life events to date. I think you'll also find that there's a great degree of success through self-discipline here and application. I think you'll be quite a rational thinker. Do you know, I think that status is going to be important to you during this period. You'll want material security and stability. And this person here, this emperor, can be quite volatile and fiery. And I think you may well find that you're in that situation yourself. You'll want to discover things. You'll want to lead. You'll want to create and initiate things. There'll be an urge for action and adventurousness around you. Good feelings of parenthood here, or acting as a parental figure for somebody else. And I think that the concepts of order and structure will be important to you. Now, you're going to be quite ambitious, and you'll be taking a firm stand, not only with yourself, but also with others. You may well find that you are promoted to a senior role. Well, shall we have a look at the Prince of Cups, which is touching on the Emperor? And we go from a really fiery card here to a card which is a mixture of air, due to being the prince, and of water, it being in the suit of cups. Well, here, the Prince of Cups appears naked apart from his helmet, which has the crest of an eagle. He is seated on a shell-like chariot drawn by the eagle of Scorpio. You see, Scorpio has 3 forms. It has the scorpion, it has the snake, and in its final exalted form, it has the eagle. And here, the prince rides over a lake of water and holds a cup in his left hand from which a serpent emerges, and an inverted lotus in the right hand. The lake appears very calm, but heavy rain falls down upon it. Now, just to look at some of the elements of the imagery here, as it strikes me, although you may find something else, so look at the card and take from it what you will. There's a chariot over water, shaped like a seashell. It doesn't touch the water, but it drives over it in the air. So there's the sense here that the prince is not engaging in his emotions to the extent that they hold him back in life. I'm getting a lot of Scorpio around this person. There may be an aspect of you in this as well, but Sagittarius is also coming up. But this implies also a secretive nature, one who does, and a person that doesn't allow us to see, well, he is not someone who allows us to see his depth and what lies under the water. He wants to always move forward with his life. Now, his left hand, as you can see here, holds the reins which control the eagle. They are black, which implies the decay associated with Scorpio. His right hand, there is the inverted lotus. Do you see that there? That's symbolic of water, of emotion. And it implies that he holds his emotions and intuition as less important than his intellect. Now the cup with the coiling serpent that's in it. Serpent is also a symbol of Mercury and of the intellect. And he looks at this, giving it his favor over the lotus blossom. And there's the number 8 here, which also has a association with Mercury and the intellect because of the 8 groupings of the vaporous wings of the eagle here, and of these vapors coming up here. There's 8 there. So there's 8 sort of bulbous things in the wings of the eagle, and 8 there as well. A great, great association with the intellect. Now, together, this implies to me a young man, I'll call it, but of course, court cards can be of either gender. A person who is, look, air and water, he's the airy part of water. They are sort of neutral. There's no elemental contradiction in his makeup. But those elements, air and water, combining with Scorpio, well, they come together to make him quite an intense character. As a fast river flows, so does he, trying to get the most out of life as is possible. He's subtle, quite crafty, almost like an artist who is calm and on the surface, but somebody that, although appearing calm, that calmness masks an intense passion. There's desire around here, craving, wishes. This person can be completely without conscience in the ordinary sense of the word and is perfectly ruthless, caring intensely for power and for information and for his own aims. He doesn't feel any responsibilities for other people, and he really can't be relied upon. If ever you're in any, I suppose, questioning mood as to where you stand in relation to him, I can assure you stand behind him. I do think, though, that you will be able to give good insight into other people's lives at this time, because this is a person, I think, who has really lived life to the full. I think that this is saying to you that you should accept your sexual needs and passions and live them out with awareness. You will discover a lot in this process. Give yourself up totally to the experience and observe yourself in it. And what secret wishes are you unwilling to admit to? Spend some time each day visualizing yourself, your desires, but without getting lost in them. And say to yourself, I now live out my sexual desires because this makes me more vital and fulfilled. Now I'm inclined to go to the other end of the diagonal, which is this 4 of Swords here. And again, interesting esoteric imagery. I think here, I don't need to point anything out. I think you'll be able to see it as I speak to it. Well, in this 4 of Swords, the 4 swords are symmetrically arranged over a green cross, and that cross is known as a St. Andrew cross. their points are, the points of the sword are sheathed by a row of 49 petals. This is about truce, a rest from conflict. So you'll have a mind that is negotiating some sort of temporary resolution to things at the moment, I think. Now, the yellow, spiky, chaotic lines that you can see all through here in the background, yellow is representing air, chaotic thoughts. And they represent conflicts that have or are taking place in your life. And now you have some peace from them. The 4 swords, which are aspects of you, are protected from the chaos at present. Now that St. Andrew's cross is associated with in the Christian tradition anyway, with the apostle Saint Andrew, who thought himself unworthy to be crucified in the same manner as Jesus. So there is something about this saying that there is a lack of self-esteem here, or at least a lack of self-confidence. You should not have that. Green is associated with the color of Venus, and Venus is about love and beauty. And cross, well, of course, that is associated with sacrifice. And it brings here a sense of harmony. But this 49-petaled rose, that's social harmony, 7 times 7. And 7 is also the mystical number of Venus, which rules Libra. Now the hilts of these, when I say the hilts, that means the bits at the end here, these things on the edges there, they represent the symbols of the 4 elements. The chaotic lines represent air, the wavy lines represent water, the flames represent fire, and the discs represent earth. Now, the points of the sword are sheathed within the rose, and this indicates that you now have some rest, some respite from conflict that's been going on, and it allows you to recharge your spirit, as is represented by the rose. Now, the blue, which is in the background here, that is associated with Jupiter, and Jupiter is adding expansion of consciousness when this phase of truce has passed. Now, it doesn't mean that life is going to be easy straight away, but you have the potential for change, for better in the future. Now, I mentioned those aspects of Libra, didn't I? Venus in Libra, and Jupiter. Well, Libra tries to find a balance in your life, and so there is now a need for balance. But Libra can also induce unrest, and it can also induce indecisiveness. But Jupiter gives you a period of rest from a difficult situation, as well as opening your higher mind's flexibility, which is needed to resolve conflict. Jupiter allows you to move on. There's clarity coming into your life, spiritual cleansing, recuperation, agreement, taking a break, and a sense of being centered. So it's saying it's time to take some time out from a stressful situation. If you can get a holiday or a vacation, even better. Make the most of this break, because you have enough inner clarity now to successfully carry out your plans. Be sure at all times that you feel good about what is happening. What supports or what hinders your clarity? And check your surroundings and rearrange them to support calm and centeredness. And say this to yourself: I am at peace within myself. Now, above that card is this card of prudence, the 8 of discs. Well, what can I say about looking at this? 8 discs, well, it shows a tree in the center of a garden against a yellow background and anchored in fertile land. The leaves are wrapped around the flowers, which are the discs, in a very protective way. Now, this is the sun in Virgo, and it signifies intelligence lovingly applied to material matters, and such as things around the house or agriculture, design, engineering. It could be fashion, it could be makeup. The sun enhances everything it touches, and here it energizes Virgo's hard work ethic and attention to detail. So here we see an opportunity for growth into something worthwhile. Now what is interesting here is that in the middle there of these plants there's a fruit, and the fruits all have 5 segments. There are 5 petals. Now 5 plus 5, that equals the number of 10, which mystically represents the earth, the material earth, or this material plane, and therefore it represents tangible things which are starting to become manifested in your life. And because these flowers are protected by these leaves that come around here, be protective of your dreams and plans and nurture them until the universe manifests them. Don't overextend yourself, and just be choosy in what you give out. Yes, we can see here that the tree really does unfold its wealth of blooms. It is a time of flowering that relates to internal and external riches on all 4 levels of being. Long hidden abilities and possibilities are becoming visible. Now the number 8 stands for harmony, adjustment, balance. As you unfold in equal measure on all levels of being, a deep sense of psychic equilibrium develops within you. And this in turn will affect your dealings on the material plane and in interpersonal planes. Particularly at times of multifaceted flowering, extremes and excesses should be avoided. Internal flowering is a delicate process which occurs in stillness. It is a gift to handle lovingly and with great care. Every bloom on this tree is shielded by a large leaf, a symbol for protection and prudence. And also remember that the tree is just beginning to bloom. It is not yet the time for harvesting or for giving out newly developing wealth. In order to maintain the internal balance, special attention must be paid on the external level to clarity, order, and beauty. Now, in this context of beginning an undertaking, this card includes a warning. Before making a new start, be sure that health and finances are abundant enough to allow for success. That which is coming into flower in you is of exquisite beauty and delicacy, so provide for it the protection and the nourishment that it needs. Are you giving yourself the protection and nourishment you need now for your development? Sometimes there is a strength in doing nothing, and I think that this is saying you've planted seeds, set back and let them grow and flower. Now that takes us finally, I think, to this, the art card. Look, I'll be honest, a lot of the symbology that's in this is connected to another card called the Lovers, which isn't in your spread, and it would make a lot more sense. But look, in a nutshell, it's to do with the reintegration of and the unification of opposites. But what we have here is we have the alchemical union of fire and water portrayed originally above the Fool. It's now moved into the center of the picture. The whole card is characterized by symbols of integration, the unification of opposites, the binding together of fire and water, light and dark, male and female, death and rebirth, all in an internal process. The melting of contradictions is a major step towards oneness. The opposing forces transform themselves into a new state of being. Now, the marriage of the Emperor and the Empress, which is shown on the Lovers card, reaches its fulfillment here. This is the highest art of transformation. The bringing together of opposites is a preparation for generating something new for you. The large sun and moon crossing it is a preparation, and they give birth to the stars in the background. Now the dress is the colour of creativity, green. Now the Latin inscribed on this sun, if I can read it correctly, it says Visita interiora terrae rectificando invenies occultum lepidam. Visit the interior of the earth, and by purifying what you find there, you will discover the stone. Well, the stone there is the hidden stone, the jewel. It means to go in and visit yourself, to look into yourself. I always say, the person that looks without dreams, the person that looks within awakens. Now the lion and eagle, assistants in the alchemical process, they've already completed their transformation. They also are in that lover's card, but they've grown now in size and significance. The steam, the energy of the new arises. The arrow in the center of the body re-emphasizes this. The steam forms two rainbows, symbols of wholeness, which surround the shoulders of this androgynous figure here. Look, this card is, I think, a challenge to you to look inward in this phase of integrating opposites, the transformation process. It isn't going to tolerate any further impulses or pushes from the outside. To find the hidden stone, the diamond, you must look within. What does it mean now for you to find your hidden diamond? Close your eyes and visualize a fountain of energy in your body. Bathe in this rejuvenating current and say to yourself, I equally value the light and dark within my own nature. I am a well-integrated person. I surrender to the transforming powers of the divine. I am an open channel for creative energy. What a fantastic spread of cards for you. Good job, you. Well, I'm sure you'll agree with me that this is a very, very interesting deck, isn't it? The Thoth deck, and it provides an unusual sort of a reading, different to the types that you might see before. Certainly the imagery is unlike anything that you see in other decks. But anyway, next time, of course, we will be using another deck because I do change them each month, as you know. So, until I see you again, remember one thing, and one thing is this, and it is that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.